the 21st century, doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody you ever seen do it. Screams from the haters, got a nice ring to it. I guess every superhero need his theme music. No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking.
Breaking news.
There's been a CME in our direction that looks to hit the Earth with extreme force.
Now you may be wondering what a CME is. For more on this, we go to a reporter in the field.
Another amazing thing that happens sometimes during high solar activity is that sometimes we have what we call coronal mass ejections. Huge blobs of matter from the corona region. Remember, the corona goes out for millions of kilometers around the sun. But sometimes some of the regions around the corona get superheated to very high temperatures, and because of the magnetic activity, sometimes they get blasted out into space at very high velocities, higher than the escape velocity of the sun, and they go streaming out. As they stream out, they form these big blobs of material that are in circular motion. Of course, whenever you have material that's in circular motion, since they're made out of electrons and protons, they create very strong magnetic fields. Now notice, if they then approach the Earth, some amazing things can happen. And sometimes not so pleasant things can happen. So let's imagine here that this is the Earth, and this is the magnetic field around the Earth that protects us from the solar wind. But what happens when we have this huge coronal mass ejection streaming out towards the Earth? It usually gets there in a matter of a few days after it's been ejected from the sun. Let's say that this is the North Pole and this is the South Pole, so that the magnetic field lines are in this direction right here. And we have this huge blob of ionized gas reaching the Earth, approaching the Earth like this. Now, two things can happen. One thing is that the magnetic fields caused by the circulating mass of charged particles, if the magnetic fields that loop around this mass are in the same direction as the magnetic fields of the Earth, we're probably okay. What happens then is it just will bounce into the magnetic field, and the magnetic field will protect us like a shield and cause the particles to be kind of spliced away in two different directions. One, the negative charged particles will go one direction, the positive charged particles will go the other direction. When that happens, we usually see amazing aurora borealis near the North and the South Pole from these particles that stream then in towards the polar regions of the Earth. But sometimes when a blob of ionized gas like this from a coronal mass ejection comes towards the Earth, and the magnetic fields are in opposite direction to the fields of the Earth. When the fields then combine together, there will be a cancellation effect, and the protection mechanism of the magnetic field of the Earth will be reduced at that moment, and much of this material can slam into the Earth, can slam into the satellites into orbit, and slam into the grids that are on the Earth, the power grids on the Earth, and actually cause quite a bit of damage, which occurs on occasion. So this is one of those cases where the interaction between the magnetic field caused by these coronal mass ejections will interact with the magnetic field of the Earth and actually have quite an impact on the Earth.
All right. Thanks for that report. So now that we know what a CME is, we're going to go and ask Troy what happens to humans after a CME occurs.
One major effect is the loss of power. Power is needed to practically run everything we use, and that won't work after a CME hit. With the amount of energy ejected off of the sun, it would completely fry power grids. We would be okay without power for a day. It would even be a good thing to be away from it all for a day. 1 month, things would start becoming rough. After a month without power, withdrawals will start setting in. We would also have to start planning for long term. Electric stove users would have to find a new way to cook for one. Entertainment would completely change. By a year without power, though, we should have figured out a routine for survival without electronics.
Wow, that's crazy. But how would we deal with institutions like government, safety, economics, and jobs?
Without power, there is no government. Without government, there are no laws. The world would run on an honor system. Without laws, there is no safety. And as for the economy, money, trade, tanks without electricity. Also killing money jobs.
Geez, okay. How do we get power back? How do we recover from this?
We need to instantly get to working on fixing the power plants. Worst come to worst, we can go back to natural electricity creation such as steam, wind, and hydro.
Alright, well good. So now we are prepared to handle the effects of the CME. I will have more on how to prepare before the impact and how we could have prepared before this CME was headed in our direction, right after this break.
Hi like this one, and I like this one. But I'm over the moon with this one.
So what can you tell us about minimization and preparation?
Well, to prepare on the local level, we would need to have lots of non-perishable foods and shelters for every family so we could be protected from the outside dangers of the world that would result from the global chaos ensuing after the CME. Of that global chaos, there would be a lot of impacts on jobs, economy, safety, and government. To prepare for that, we just need to, as a whole society, stop relying so much on technology. Governments and economic trading systems all rely heavily on electricity, and with the CME hits, those institutions would crumble completely. As for jobs, I suggest that we all move to a farming economy where everybody's a farmer and farms for themselves and farms the earth for resources, and that would be the most effective because it has no reliance on technology. Lastly, for safety, we would need to have an honor system, like Troy said, but that wouldn't work. So we would have to continue to have direct communication through some other means besides electricity with a military body to keep us safe.
Thank you. Very educational.
Well, you got it, Troy. That does it for us today on WCME Survival Network. We will see you next time.
Attack, front to back.